In a world where carbs are your enemy, you need one man to help you fight your battles. That man is Jimmy.
Combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
News, low-carb, ketogenic real food fans. A Real Good Foods company is now in all U.S. Walmart stores. They have enchiladas, poppers, cauliflower crust pizzas, mini pizza bites, and the chicken crust pizzas in 3,500 Walmart stores. Real Good Foods pizzas are grain-free, gluten-free, and of course low-carb, high-fat, ketogenic. This is real food, and now it's available at your local Walmart. Get exclusive offers from Real Good Foods by texting RGF to 474747, and be sure to visit realgoodfoods.com to learn more about Real Good Foods' ketogenic line of products. Real Good Foods.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live, and we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and we start off over on Instagram, so go follow me there at Living Low Carb Man, LivinLowCarbMan. Once you're there, you can engage live in the content, just like all these beautiful people are doing right now. Thanks for being here, you guys. After 24 hours, after you watch the live, you can watch it for 24 hours on Instagram, so go follow me on Instagram. But after 24 hours, it does disappear from Instagram. Never fear, we got you covered. We're going to throw all the past episodes up on YouTube. So go follow me on YouTube. Just type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword search. You will find the show. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast on Apple Podcasts and Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at JimmyRants.com. Today's Jimmy Rants is not about nutritional health. I like to go off the beaten path, so to speak. I do call this show Jimmy Rants, by the way, for a reason, because it lets me talk about pretty much anything I want to talk about that is of interest to me, that I think might be of interest to you. And most of the time I do talk about diet stuff, mindset stuff, and that kind of thing. But today I'm going to talk about something that Christine and I did in the second year of our marriage that could be something that might help you. So I was reading a news story about how U.S. credit card debt in 2018 closed out at a record $870 billion. And so the story talked about how credit card debt hit this largest amount ever as of December the 31st, according to the Federal Reserve, and balances rose by $26 billion from the prior quarter. And they say this is the biggest that they've seen since the downturn in the economy back in 2008. And we now have 100 million more credit cards today than what we saw back in 2008. So a total of 480 million credit cards. And they say that it makes up the fourth largest portion of consumer debt, behind mortgage, student loan, and auto debt. So that was the story that kind of caught my attention, because Christine and I did something in year 2 that helped us overcome the bondage of credit card debt. And that's what I want to talk about here today. We overcame the bondage of credit card debt, and we think you can too. So we got married in August of 1995, and we did what every young couple does. We got some credit cards, and we started getting things to start building our family, okay? So we ran up some credit cards, and when that one filled up, we ran up another credit card, and when that one filled up, we ran up another, until we had like all of these like deck of cards full of credit cards. And there was one day I was kind of looking at those and looking at all the balances and going, what in the world are we doing? This was in year 2 of our marriage. What in the world are we doing? Because I could see already how all of those credit cards were trapping us. Now, we weren't making any money. I was working for a Christian bookstore at the time. So was Christine. And I think I was in the home office and I was only making $14,000 a year. It was pathetic. Of course, that's $1995, but still, it was pathetic. And I'm sitting there going, there's no way if we keep running up these credit cards that we'll ever pay it off. So without telling Christine, I went and got all of the credit cards out of my wallet. I went into her purse and got all the credit cards out of her purse. And I stacked them on top of one another until I had this nice stack of plastic. And then I proceeded to put it in my least favorite pan and put it in there. And I turned up the oven to broil. And I stuck those cards in the oven. And about 5 minutes later, I had this gloppy mess of my credit cards all molded together into one. And guys, can I tell you, that was both the freakiest, scariest thing and the most freeing thing that I probably ever did financially in my life. And maybe you have a bunch of credit cards right now. Maybe you're one of those people that's contributing to that $870 billion in credit card debt. Maybe it's tying you down as the 4th largest part of your budget. But putting all of those credit cards together, it was about 17 or 18 of them. All of them. And they ended up melding together to the point you could still see it was credit cards, but it was kind of this, And we kept that glob of gloppy, plasticky mess on our coffee table for a very long time, to always remind us of what our goal was. And our goal was to be out of debt. And it took us many years to be able to pay off all of those credit cards. But eventually we did. And this was long before I had any kind of success like I have today. This was before we were making any kind of money at all. We made this decision, you guys, that we weren't going to use credit. And I know that scares people to death. They absolutely cannot imagine how in the world you live without credit cards. And one of the major things that comes up whenever people say, well, I could never do that because what about emergencies? You need to have an emergency credit card. Well, guess what? That's what my check card is all about. So I keep a check card, and this is what we use when we have an emergency. Now, thankfully now, and yes, we are big fans of Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey is a financial guy. If you've never heard of him before, he does a daily podcast and a radio show. And he has this cool voice too, man. He's like, he comes on live from Financial Peace University Plaza. I'm Dave Ramsey, where debt is dumb, cash is king, and the paid-off home mortgage has taken the place of the BMW as the status symbol of choice. So, yes, super fan. And so, listen to him, and he tells you about this thing called a debt snowball. So if you have a bunch of credit cards, you might think, okay, let me pay off the one with the highest balance first. Let me pay off the one with the highest APR percentage first. He says, no, none of that. The debt snowball, you pay off the lowest one first, regardless of what the interest rate is. Pay off the lowest one, and then once you pay it off, then you snowball that into the next one along with the minimum payment on the next one. So basically what you do is you pay the minimum on all the bigger ones, and then the smallest one, you throw as much money at it as you can. Okay? And so once you pay that one off, then you roll it into the next one, the next lowest one. And then you pay that one off in the next one. And what that does is, since you hit the lowest ones first, you pay them off first. And as you start to see bills get paid off, and you're cutting up credit cards, obviously, you're not continuing to use them. As you do that, you see such incredible freedom start to happen. And guys, that's exactly what happened for me and Christine. If you're just joining us, when we were in our second year of marriage, Christine and I had about 16, 17 credit cards, and I baked them in the oven. I didn't tell Christine I was doing this. She got home from work, and she was like, "What did you do?" I said, "Honey, I baked all of the credit cards. We don't need to be living that way anymore." And she said, you did what? Once her mouth was up off the ground, we were living in Norfolk, Virginia at the time. Once her mouth was off the ground, she realized, oh yeah, we needed to do this. And it was one of the most instrumental things financially I've probably ever done in my life, because it helped us overcome the bondage of credit card debt. And was it difficult? Absolutely. Did we have to delay gratification on getting things that we wanted? Absolutely. Don't think it's going to be just simple. Well, I'll just bake all my credit cards together and all my woes will go away. It doesn't work that way. We did have to work our tails off. And I had really crappy paying jobs there for a very long time that made it extraordinarily difficult to be able to get caught up. I felt like we were just drowning in the debt forever. And then you start making a little more money, or maybe you make some money on the side. You throw it all at the debt. And what happens is, before long, you start whittling away at all these credit cards and you get them paid off. And even before my success with the keto books and everything that I do now, even before all of that, we had already paid off our credit cards. And I'm pretty darn happy with that. $25,000, I believe it was, worth of debt that we had built up with those like 16, 17 credit cards, and we paid it off. Now, the cool thing was when we did start making some more money, we were then able to, since we didn't have any credit card debt anymore, we were able to put aside all of that money we were putting towards the credit cards into like a savings account that became an emergency fund. So anytime we needed to pay for emergency stuff, we had at first $1,000, which is emergency fund. Then Dave Ramsey talks about getting like 6 months worth of income into the bank as well. And that serves as this long-term emergency fund, so that if the dryer decides to break down, as it always eventually does, or if you need a transmission fixed in your car, or whatever the issue is, you've got money set aside for that purpose. And then you spend the money, then you take the time to refill that emergency fund, and you're good to go. And eventually the fun part of that is you have that money in the bank, and then you start throwing money at your mortgage. So hopefully by then you've paid off car loans, you've paid off all the credit cards, and what's left is the mortgage. And 2 years ago, we were able to pay off our mortgage. And I can't tell you the freedom that gave us. To the point now that when there is a need in our family or in our extended family, we can help. To the point that if there are people who could use a little help, we're there for them. And I know Dave Ramsey likes to talk about it, live like no other, meaning, pull up the bootstraps and do what you got to do to earn income, so that someday you can live like no other and be a giver and be an extravagant giver. We try to be extravagant in our giving now, not flippantly, but knowing that there are needs out there that people have. And I want that for everybody. I want everybody to be able to experience that you don't have to be in the bondage of credit card debt anymore. And I fear with these kind of news stories talking about Americans having $870 billion collectively in credit card debt. That's a lot of debt, you guys. And I don't think it has to be that way. And sometimes it comes down to, what is your goal? Is your goal to keep up with the Joneses? Is your goal to have the newest and best and brightest? I know Dave Ramsey talks about rice and beans, beans and rice, as far as your nutrition. Let me see if I can give a keto spin on that. Eggs and avocados, avocados and eggs. Does that work? Because bacon's really expensive. I'm trying to think what would go along with eggs. Eggs and what? Eggs and burgers? Anyway, you get the point. So the bottom line in this Jimmy Rants is, don't feel like you have to be in bondage to credit card debt. A lot of people feel like they have to keep spending money on the credit card. And I'm telling you, it's hard to not have credit card as kind of a backup plan. But when you don't have it and you choose not to spend credit, it's amazing how well you survive. It's amazing all of the things you can do when you don't rely on this. Now think of it this way. People don't think of credit cards in this way, but you're basically taking out a loan every time you use the credit card, unless you pay it all off that month. But who pays off all of their credit card that month? So then what are you doing? You're basically giving free money to the credit card companies, and that's why they love you to death. That's why there's those 480 million credit cards floating around out there in circulation. And I wonder if you could get the same benefits that Christine and I did by baking them all together. Now make sure it's a safe pan. That pan that I cooked those 16, 17 cards in, the one at the bottom imprinted our card onto the pan, so you could see the number on there. So I had to sit there and scrub it until the number came off. But we called the companies, every single one of those companies, and said, please shut down the card. It's been destroyed. And we closed the account. And that was one of the best things we ever did. And we did that in year 2 of our marriage. We're coming up on our 25th wedding anniversary next year. But year 2, I was like, no, we're not going to be that couple. We're not going to be in bondage to credit card debt. And I just hope that people understand this sooner than later. This is not a way to live. And I'm hoping that this is an encouragement to you, that maybe you've been thinking in the back of your mind, oh, we need to do something. This is out of control. What can we do? I'm scared. What do I do? We don't make enough money. We're going to need these credit cards. Can I just encourage you that you do have enough money? And if you don't have enough income, do something about that. Start a little side hustle business. Sell something that you're not using. Be willing to maybe take on a second part-time job. Trust me, I did all of those things and more. When I was in college, I had 3 jobs and was taking classes. And that was very difficult. But I'm so glad all these years later that hustle that I did when I was in college gave me a work ethic that now serves me very well. Now you know why I do so many podcasts. I like coming on Jimmy Rants every single day. I write lots of books. All of that is a product of this desire to hustle, and hustle some more. And in that hustle, I'm productive and I'm able to take care of things. Take care of debt and to not be under the bondage of it anymore. So do you feel like you're in bondage over credit card debt? Do you feel like there's no way out of it? I'm here to tell you that you too can overcome all of that bondage to credit card debt. We did it. And we paid them off long before we made any money, of consequence, because we were very, very determined, I guess is the word for it, to not let that overtake our lives. And those of you that have kids, those of you that have other obligations, it's tough, I know. In fact, in the midst of all of this, what made it extraordinarily difficult And you'll know this if you read my book, Real Food Keto. What made it very difficult was Christine was not well in her health. And so every year we were dealing with, some kind of a neck thing, some kind of a fibromyalgia thing, vision problems and other doctor visits and all kinds of stuff, her gallbladder, on and on and on and on and on, that every time we felt like we were coming up for air, we were right back underwater again because she had medical stuff. Now, thankfully, thanks to keto, by the way, we don't have any of that stuff anymore, which that started, 2011. She really got serious about keto. And so it's been since about 2011 that all the good stuff has happened financially for us, so that we're now completely debt free. And I so desire that for everybody. I so want everybody that's watching this today to know that that can be you too. And I know it seems so impossible with where you are in your life. It can seem like it'll never happen. But we were right there 23 years ago, we were right there with you. And we were over $25,000 in debt in our credit. I still had student loans at the time in excess of about $45,000. We had a car payment. It was just so much. And I was thinking, and Christine was like, "Are you sure we can live without credit cards?" No, I was not sure. But one thing I was sure of is that wasn't the way to live. So getting rid of them was one of the best things and best decisions I ever made financially for our family. And I think we're reaping the benefits of that today because we were good stewards of the money that we did have. And we were able to become credit card debt free. That was first and foremost. And we did that before everything. Next up, I got rid of my student loans. We were able to pay off our car. And a couple of years ago, we were able to pay off our mortgage. And all of that, you guys, didn't happen by accident. It happened because we were proactive at making decisions financially that put us in a really good position to be able to do it. So can I urge you today, if you feel trapped by your debt, to do something about it? Because I think sometimes we feel the inevitability of it all and we just feel overwhelmed. And perhaps you see credit cards galore coming in and the bills come in every single month, and you see that minimum payment of $18.47 on one, $27.93 on another, and you just think, okay, well, I'm never going to get caught up, so let me just pay the bare minimum. And that's why we continue to see this debt go higher and higher and higher every single year on credit cards. Get out of the system, guys. Don't let it rule you. Take back control, not only of your health, which you hear me talk about all the time, but also your financial health. And I so wish everybody could feel what it feels like to not have that burden on you anymore. Now, we still have financial pressures and things of that sort, but not nearly like we did 23 years ago when we were young 20s and trying to figure things out financially, and we were in a pickle when it came to our finances. And that decision, that fateful decision, I wish I still had that credit card blob, but we got rid of it a long time ago. But it was this nice little block. It was just this rectangular block that reminded us that's not where we're going to go anymore. That's not how we're going to live our lives. And if I could pass that lesson along to you guys, at least spark something in you to start thinking about this. Talk to your spouse about it. Talk to your family, whoever you need to talk to, because this is going to free you up in the years to come. And you're going to be so grateful that this crazy dude named Jimmy Moore ranted at you in an episode talking about becoming debt-free, because it will be perhaps the best thing you've ever done financially in your life. All right, let's see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in.
little off the beaten path of what I normally talk about here on Jimmy Rants, but I like to bring a wide variety of topics so I don't become myopic. I've been listening to Dave Ramsey's podcasts. He makes so much sense. Yes, Helene, I love Dave, and I would love to meet that man someday. Keto by George. I did 2 Dave Ramsey's baby steps. It took us 3 years to get out of debt. Now debt free except for home. Have a good rainy day fund because sometimes it will rain. Yes, it does rain, George. Freedom from the heavy weight of debt. Yes, you can't put a price on getting rid of all that weight. I mean, you literally feel it come off your body, not having to be burdened by that. And thankfully, we never got to the point where we had collection agencies coming after us or anything. We always were very responsible with our bills. Really an interesting thing since we've become debt-free, something really interesting has happened. Our credit score has always been pretty darn good. It starts to go down. When you don't have debt, they kind of penalize you for not using debt. So it's kind of weird. I mean, I'm not worried about that because I don't need a credit score to be able to get what we need. But man, that was kind of funny to me. And of course, Dave talks about that. Dave Ramsey talks about that quite a bit. Don't worry about your credit score going down. If you're debt free, you're debt free. So you've got the extra money available. Helene says the app Every Dollar is very helpful in setting your budget. I've never seen that one before, but it sounds cool. Val says, we did Financial Peace University. That's Dave Ramsey's program. We also contacted them about a single mom we knew who struggled. They sent her the kit for free. We go up and down still, but not like we were. And that's the thing. At least it's on your radar screen, Val. I think a lot of people, they go through life and they never have a plan about how they're going to deal financially with stuff. And thankfully, I've always been in my family, of all the kids, my older brother Kevin, who passed away in 2008, my younger sister Beverly, who's pretty responsible, but of all the kids, and Nathan, my brother, of all of us, I was probably the most financially responsible. My dad is a tightwad, and so I guess I learned a little bit of his tactics, but anyway. Lori says, I'm 42. I still suffer from poor credit decisions. Still dreaming of owning my own home. I have a good job, hubby, not so much. Well, again, I think anybody, wherever they are in their life, at this point in their life, if you put in the work and you put in the side hustle, and there's so many things you can do on the internet these days to make money on the side from your regular job, whatever it is you got to do, you do it. And when you do it, you're wise with the decisions about the money. I see so many people kind of willy-nilly throw away money at just stupid stuff all the time. And then they say, well, I don't have the money. And I'm biting my tongue really hard because I so want to share with them, if you didn't do this, you'd have the money that you say you don't have. And here's a shocker too. If you live in the United States and you own a house and you own a car and you own a cell phone, did you realize that you are in the top 1% richest people in the entire world? Did you know that? All you need is a house, a car, and a cell phone. And you are amongst the 1% richest people in the world. That shocks Americans when they hear that because, I'm in a lot of debt and I don't have this, I don't have that. But you have the things that make you the richest in the world. And I think sometimes we forget that perspective when we are living in the day-to-day. And you compare yourself to, say, a Hollywood actor or a baseball player who was it? Bryce Harper just signed a $330 million contract to play baseball. You look at people like that and you go, oh my gosh, I'm nowhere near that, so I'm not rich. And yet, if you compare yourself to the world, and the people in the world, you are very rich, in the 1%. So because you have wealth compared to the world population, you shouldn't have debt. And dealing with that debt sooner than later is good. All right, so we got some ideas about, instead of rice and beans and rice, Rescue Gal says eggs and ground beef and chicken thighs. That's a good one. I like that. Keto Glow Brittany says, yes, thank you for talking about this. It's a long story of how we got into our mess years ago with the family, but we've paid off $30,000 in student loans and paid off other small loans too. Brittany, that is awesome. And what I love is people see that amount and they think, oh, you must have got like a big, inheritance or something to help you. And maybe, if you get that kind of money, throw it at your debt. If you're able to inherit money from a rich uncle or whatever, throw it at the debt, because eventually you will pay it off. And I think it's just like weight loss. Look at it just like losing weight. Do you lose 100 pounds tomorrow? Nope. When does the 100 pounds come off? 1 pound this week, 1.5 pounds next week, pound the next week, the week after that, no pounds, the week after that, 0.5 pound. You see what I'm saying? So it's trickle, it's incremental, and you have to think of it on a month-by-month basis as you get the money from your job, and then adding in these side jobs and the side hustle like we're talking about. And when you're able to throw the money and get rid of those credit cards and other debt, little by little by little, you start to lose the weight of the debt. Okay? So think of it in that way. And if you're eye on the ball, eye on the prize, what's the goal here? To become debt-free. And if you stay very focused on that's what your goal is, you'll get there. It may take 10 years, may take 20 years. Some people, like my mom, she just paid off their mortgage. I want to say she said it took them 35 years to get it completely paid off. But it's paid off. And that's what you're looking for. Kitty Caddick, our goal is Sport Academy for less fortunate kids, worth working hard for. I love that, Kat. And yeah, we're constantly looking for opportunities to help organizations and people and our church. And Christine's alma mater is a Christian school, and they're in the midst of doing a building fundraising. And so we've agreed to help with that. If you watched episode 100 of Jimmy Rants, I gave, or was it 100? No, it was episode 200 of Jimmy Rants. I gave everybody who did what I asked to do on episode 200 $100. All you had to do was write to me and do the things that I asked, and $100. 13 people took advantage of it. And I think that is something that I was able to do because we're a little more financially free now than we've ever been in our life. And because of that, I'm able to do those kinds of things and help people in their time of need. Kimberly says, I've preached this before I got married. We have debt due to husband making a poor choice. I want to move forward in a positive way with a business for myself. Well, Kimberly, you're going to do it. And I know you well enough now. You are going to do it. There's no doubt about it. Kitty Caddick, but we treat credit cards as cash, using them for cash points. So if you're using it for that purpose and you're paying off the balance every month, I think that's perfectly fine. If these credit cards want to incentivize you for using their card and they give you cash back for using it, and you have the discipline and the knowledge and know-how to pay it off, then please, by all means, do that. And by the way, while I'm on this subject, it always tickles me this time of year when people start talking about, they can't wait to get their income tax refund because we're going to stick it to the government. Can I tell you how stupid you are if you believe that? No offense, but you just gave an interest-free loan to the government when you got a refund back on your income tax. I hate to burst your bubble, but when you get a check back from the government, it means you paid too much in. So maybe you adjust the amount of money that you have them take out with your employer so that you get to keep that money on a week-by-week basis.
And so then you have more money in your pocket that you can then throw at the credit cards and other debts that are out there. So don't celebrate that you're getting a big old tax refund. That's not smart financial decision making. Word to the wise. Realizing that I have control of my health and my finances, says Jonathan. Good for you. And that's the other thing. Thank you for bringing that up. When you make one change in your life, like I want to give a crap about my health, it makes you pay attention and want to give a crap about other parts of your life, including your finances, among other things. Live like no one else, now able to live like no one else, better than I deserve. Cut those credit cards, says Bullock in 2018. See, yeah, you listen to Dave Ramsey. Jonathan, during this journey, we had my second son. We're expecting a third child in September. Congratulations, Jonathan. I would be super stressed with the third coming if I was $65K in debt like I was just a year and a half ago. Yeah, I bet. Kat says all credit cards should be paid off at the end of the month or not used at all. That's a good rule of thumb. Unfortunately, a lot of people, they use them and they pay the minimum payment, and then they use them some more, and then the minimum payment. And we helped out a family member who was majorly in debt, and we gave them some money right at about 4 or 5 months ago. And within like a few weeks, all that money was already gone, and now they're starting to get in debt again. Makes me mad, but we're not going to do that again to help them out. And we told them that ahead of time. I love the debt score, LOL. Yeah, your credit score, it does go down if you don't use credit. Who knew? I didn't know. My credit score goal is 0, says Jonathan. Well, mine's not quite 0. Mine's still very good, but it's because of the past credit that we've used and paid off. I don't think we ever missed a payment, so that helps. But since we haven't used credit in a couple of years now, the credit score I've seen just incrementally kind of coming down. It used to be excellent. I think it's now at the middle part of very good on the credit score. It's pretty funny. Alberto says banks are the biggest scammers of the entire history of mankind. Interest is money that has not been created. That is why the world debt increases forever under this economic system. Yeah. Sherry says, I just paid off $155,000 in debt. Thank you to Dave Ramsey. I have a big emergency fund, and I'm trying to figure out the investment part. Yes, Sherry, once you don't have all those bills and all that mountain of crippling bondage, credit card debt, and all the other debt, you start looking at investments. And yeah, we started putting money into retirement investments. I'd never even heard of this thing called an SEP, but look it up when you start becoming debt free. Look up an SEP. You can put a maximum of something like $50-something thousand into it every year, and then it builds as a retirement fund. And what it did was it knocked down the amount of money that we would owe to the IRS pretty significantly. The tax guy last year said, oh my gosh, you don't want to know how much you owe. I'm like, well, how much? And he said, and I went, gulp. And so I said, well, is there anything we can do? He said, did you get an SEP? So I went and got an SEP, and it dropped that amount of tax burden that we owed in half. In half. And I was like, whoa. So it was like the government gave us some free money. And yeah, that was fun for our retirement. Dave Ramsey can pay cash for the party building, but can't rent an apartment, says Bullock in 2018. Yeah, because his credit score has gone down too. He hasn't used it in years. No loans, credit score goes down, but it is not what should concern us. No, it doesn't concern me at all, Kitty Caddick, but people, they start to freak out when they see their credit score go down. Jay Creek Farms, I used FPU many years ago, Financial Peace University, and was in such a great position that I just decided to buy a farm one day, bought it easy in less than 30 days while my peers struggled to buy homes over months at a time. Yeah, it's freedom. It's freedom that nobody, until you're in that position,
can truly know. I love this change of topic. Thank you, Low Carb New Yorker. Like I said, the show's called Jimmy Rants. Doesn't mean I always have to rant about diet and health. I do love ranting about diet and health, and I've got a whole stack of stuff ready to go to rant about diet and health. But this one was on my heart today, that I feel like there's a lot of people stuck in credit card debt. And this headline here caught my attention, seeing that there's $870 billion in credit card debt, a record for 2018. 7% of that is people 18 to 29. 17% of that's people 30 to 39. 22% of that is 40 to 49. 24% 50 to 59. 18% 60 to 69. And 12% are over the age of 70. So it looks like the bulk of it, and you would expect this because this is where people are earning the most money in their life, from 30 to 59, looks like 63%. So almost 2/3 of all the credit card debt is people 30 to 59. So if that's you, get out of debt. Do what it takes. You'll be glad you did. You could work for Dave Ramsey on the side. No, I have a full-time job keeping up with you guys, giving you information about nutritional health. Good on debt, except for the mortgage, attempting to pay off in 15 instead of 30 years. Off to daddy duty, loves and hugs. Thank you, Low Carb New Yorker. Goals are always a good thing. Credit card companies don't like it when you pay early. Exactly. No, they don't make money if you pay it off early. And it's one reason, if I do any kind of a credit anything now, it's going to be something that I know I'll have the money before any interest rate kicks in. I would not dare give any interest rate to any kind of credit agency or bank ever again. I will tell you, in the midst of this, when we were going through and we had baked all those credit cards together, like I mentioned earlier, 16 to 17 cards, we did go through this program called CCCS, Consumer Credit Counseling Service. We put ourselves in that, and what they did was they negotiated a lower interest rate so that we could help efficiently pay off those credit cards. Dave Ramsey's not a fan of doing that kind of thing, but we found it helpful. Now, what was interesting was when we did go to buy a house, the credit agency, the bank that was going to give us our loan for our house, they were like, well, we see you use this service. Were you mandated to use it? No, we put ourselves on that because we were trying to be good stewards with our money. So there are agencies out there that can help you with this. BG off 07, please write me that question. That is off what we're talking about here today, but I'm happy to help you. Just send me an Instagram message. Sherry says, I paid off $155,000 with Dave. Awesome. Every dollar is Dave Ramsey's budget tool. Oh, okay. That's cool. Thank you, Kay Johnston. I never use credit cards. Sherry, you have more discipline than most people. You sure do. Atala SKP, follow Dave Ramsey. Yeah, we've been talking about Dave here quite a bit. SEP, sweet. Thank you. I'd never heard of that. I'll look it up. Yes, Sherry, I'd never heard of it either until we needed it. And it cut our tax burden pretty significantly. And so we were able to put over $50,000 towards that SEP, and it brought down our tax burden pretty darn significantly. So I was very glad we did that. This is a good topic. You are so knowledgeable in all areas. Well, not all areas, but certain areas. And certainly this getting out of debt thing has been almost as much of a passion as the keto stuff. Well, I'm not writing books about financial stuff, but the book stuff will stick with nutrition for now. CDoc reminds us intermittent fasting saves money. Yeah, you want to save money and actually put money back in your pocket. Actually go on a 1-week fast. You'll put all that food money right back in your pocket again. So that's a good point. I like that. Peace, love, and bacon grease. I just paid cash for school. I'm hoping the career change will help pay off the little bit of debt that we have. It should. It should. So CDoc has given me a link, but unfortunately I can't open a link in a Jimmy Rants Instagram. So if you will Instagram message that to me, CDoc, I'll be happy to take a look at that for a future rant. Bonnie Lene, great topic. I'm driving, but I'm listening. Well, thank you for listening and watching today, you guys. The bottom line in this Jimmy Rants, do you feel burdened by all of that $870 billion collectively that Americans have over these 480 million credit cards? That's a whole lot of debt, you guys. And if that's you, because somebody's got the credit cards I used to have. I used to have 16, 17 of them. We baked them all together 23 years ago, and we haven't looked back ever since. And if that's you, you feel like you're under the bondage of credit card debt, hopefully the story that I've shared today about how Christine and I overcame that bondage of the credit card debt encourages you, inspires you, and gets you to thinking, I need to do that too. That would be the ultimate end result that I would love to see happen. That you get out of debt too. And then once you're out of credit card debt, then you can work on student loan debt. You can work on car payment debt and eventually get to that mortgage and get completely debt free. Student loans aren't being addressed in your article. Did they mention student loans in there? I don't remember. Yeah. It says credit cards were the fourth largest portion of consumer debt in the U.S. after mortgage, that's number 1, student loan, number 2, and auto debt, number 3. Credit card is number 4. So that's why I hit the credit card one first, because it's quicker to pay it off. All right, guys, so that's it for this episode of Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website. As always, you can engage in the content live by following me on Instagram. So go follow me there at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage live, just like all these beautiful peeps here today. Thank you guys so much for your engagement in this a little off the wall, but still very Jimmy Rantsian episode. If you missed the live, it's okay. You can watch this on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. After 24 hours, it does disappear. So then pop on over to YouTube, type in a keyword, Jimmy Rants. You will find the show there. 230 something episodes and counting, you guys. We're really racking up these episodes. Finally, we have the best of the best moments of this here show in podcast form. It's the Jimmy Rants podcast over on Apple Podcast as well as Stitcher. All of these links, you guys, are at jimmyrants.com. I got you 3 Jimmy Rants today, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed that. And until next time, we'll see you then.